Now the last thing I want to cover in this section is a tool called Report Filter Pages. And this isn't a really well-known tool, and it's not that commonly used, but in cases where you do need to use it, it can save you a ton of time. So essentially, you would use the Show Report Filter Pages option to create new tabs for each value that any given filter can take. In the screenshots we're looking at here, we've got a filter for year that can take 3 values, 2011, 2012, or 2013. By using the Show Report Filter Pages and selecting that year filter, Excel will automatically create a brand new tab with that filter set to each of its possible values. So in this case, we'd end up with 3 new tabs, one for the year 2011, one for the year 2012, and one for the year 2013. So it saves the time and effort of manually changing those filters, replicating and copying the tab, and then starting over again. So let's jump into our pivot and give this a shot. Okay, so here we go. First things first, let's get rid of this slicer and timeline. To remove them, I can simply clear the filter in the top right, select the edge of the shape and press delete. You can do the same thing here with the release date. We'll delete that one. And now we're back to our unfiltered pivot table view with data at the country level. And so let's say, for example, I work for IMDb, and my boss comes by and says, hey, I need a list of all of the movie titles produced by each country as a separate report. So what I could do is maybe take title and pull it in as a second row label. And now I'm looking at titles by each country, but the problem is these aren't separate reports. So I might have to copy and paste these into different workbooks. Another option would be to drag country out into the filters field and kind of manually make my adjustments this way and say, okay, here are my USA titles, copy this paste, duplicate it somewhere else, change USA to Thailand, here are my Thailand titles, and so on and so forth. As you can see, in this case, we've got several dozen different countries, and taking that approach would be extremely tedious. So what I can do is just unfilter that option. And now I'm going to use this filter pages tool in Excel, which a lot of people actually don't know about. And to access that, you can go into your pivot table tools, options on the left, and just click this drill down arrow to the right. And instead of going into your options, you're going to choose this second option called Show Report Filter Pages. And when you select that, it will populate a list of any filters that you currently have in place on your pivot, which are the ones shown here, and allow you to select any one of these to break out individual tabs. So in this case, I care about creating separate reports or separate tabs, one for each country, which would show everything that's shown here in the current pivot table view. So for each country, I'll show all the titles, the budgets, and the revenues. So really all I need to do is press OK. It's going to run through, automatically replicate all of those, and create a whole bunch of new tabs, each of which is set to a different filter setting for my country filter. And there you go. Now I have separate reports showing the movie titles broken out by country. And keep in mind, my original pivot table and my data was all preserved. These are additional tabs or reports that were created. So if I change my mind and I don't need these tabs here, or I move these tabs elsewhere, I need to get rid of them in this workbook, I can just select the first one, arrow all the way over till I get back to my original pivot tab. I'm going to select all of those country tabs that were created, right click and delete, and now I'm right back to where I started. So there you go, nice little shortcut using the report filter pages to automate a task that otherwise would be extremely tedious.